what I want to do right now is fire this up and let's run Prime 95 on it and let's get an idea of how this stock Intel cooler is running. And then we're going to replace the stock cooler with the Scythe, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, the Mugen 5, not even sure how to pronounce that. I've read good reviews about it. It's moderately priced. It's supposed to be quiet, it's supposed to have an easy install, and then we'll compare. It shouldn't be much of a comparison. I mean, they shouldn't be close. The Intel stock cooler is fine under normal use, but when you really push the system hard, it's going to overheat. I can virtually guarantee it, and it's going to get loud. So let's go ahead and plug this in and turn it on, and let's see, we need keyboard and mouse. Let's get that plugged in right up here. And then I need power. So yeah, the reason I haven't gotten around to replacing that front USB is, quite frankly, it works. And as long as it works, I can get my work done. It's just not working as fast. And you'll see this gold drive right in here. That's the Team 1 terabyte SSD. And I've got another one. They were on sale, so I bought them thinking, oh, well, I'll use them in something. And here we are, and I'm using it in something. So, yeah. So the only thing about using two of the same drive is when you go to format, it can be difficult to pick the right one. Sometimes you can look at a manufacturer name or a capacity to lead you to which drive is which. But since they're both made by the same company and have the same capacity, this sort of administrative side of this can be a little confusing, especially if they were both hooked up blank, right? So at least now this one's been used and this one has never been used. So that's one way I'll be able to tell them apart. And then once it's been partitioned and formatted, this will be drive letter D. This is and will remain drive letter C. And then my optical drive, my DVD reader writer, which is D now, that will become E, or I'll make it E. And that's the way it'll stay forever until I replace it. And I need my flash drive with my utilities on it. All right, this thing is fast. I have no complaints on the motherboard design, it's fine. I'm not using NVMe on this. I'm just strictly using nothing more than the Team SATA SSD, and this thing is fast, fast, fast. These drives have a 3-year warranty, and I hope you never have to use it, because I found Team's technical support and RMA process to be a bit lacking, but the price was right. So I'm willing to risk it, given that I've never seen an SSD fail, and I'm hoping I won't see one fail anytime soon. So let me, let's go to the, there we go. Let's go here. Let's turn this on. You'll see how fast this boots. As you recall, I replaced the rear fan and the front fan right up here. These are 120 millimeter fans. And you know, it runs pretty quiet, but when it really works, that's where it gets a little loud for me. And it's down in a little cubby. Well, it's not in a cubby. It's the way my desk is arranged in my office. It's up against sort of a wall where the sound bounces off of the wall, which is a great location for a subwoofer. Not so much for a fan, because it makes it seem louder than it really is. So let me go ahead and plug the flash drive in. Let's go back here, find an empty spot. And yeah, it's going to complain it doesn't have internet access. That's fine. That's fine. We don't need internet access. So let's do PC testing software. I got to make my screen bigger so I can see. Hardware monitor. Let's go ahead and start. Yeah, hardware monitor. 64-bit. Yes. And let's run Prime 95. Just stress test and click OK. I don't make any changes to the default settings, so if you want to replicate these tests yourself, you know, I'm not telling you click here and change this and this is more thorough. I just stick with the stock settings. And let's take a look at what our temps, we can see our temps right in this area here. The time is 3:42. Let's let this run until 3:55. That'll be 13 minutes unless our temperatures exceed 90 degrees Celsius. If I see more than 90 degrees Celsius, I'm going to stop the test. And what we're looking at is our current temperature on the whole package is right here. And then the minimum temperature, the coldest it was since it turned on, is this row, right, going down for all the cores. And then this is the maximum temperature it has ever hit, going down this row for all the cores. So that's primarily where my attention is being focused, is right in this area here. And of course, it's always interesting to see the current temps. When it hits, when it gets too hot, it will start to shut cores down in order to prevent it from overheating and to save itself. Normal usage of a computer, I've never seen a customer ever have an application that utilizes all cores at 100% for more than a few seconds at a time. So this is a very high stress and impractical test, in the sense that what I'm doing is I'm creating a worst case scenario. And I want to see how the computer performs in a worst case scenario. That's all we're trying to do here. While that's running, I'm just going to look back through the comments and see what I've missed. Man, he builds computer systems in the kitchen. He has food and liquids around. Yes, yes. When you're a real working professional technician and you're not a wannabe hobbyist, you can safely work with your skills. You know, I'm not a child. But yes, if you've never built a computer before, perhaps you should keep liquids and food away from your build. But the kitchen is a very great place to build a computer because it's very well lit. I've never seen carpet in a kitchen. It's pretty rare. Carpet creates static, so it's a natural anti-static or static-free area. And it's very well lit and a lot of counter space, so really recommend it. I see a lot of people who watch my videos end up building their computers in the kitchen because of how roomy and bright it is. And again, most kitchens, because food and liquids are involved, don't have carpeting, and you don't want to work on carpeting. But when you've been in the industry professionally for 27 years, you will do things differently than somebody who's just starting out, just because you've got experience and you have a much deeper understanding of how electronics work. A lot of beginners, there's just a lot of hocus pocus involved in ritualization, that they don't necessarily know why they're doing what they're doing. They can't explain static electricity, so they just abide by what they've read or seen on the internet, which is I don't like it. I think you should always understand why you're doing something. Bob the Bomb has contributed £5. You've inspired me to try and fix my dead Acer. Thanks for the video. So thank you, Bob. Let's make sure you're a moderator. Thank you for your contribution. Okay, let's see how we're doing on the temps. It's holding in there pretty good. Pretty good. Slowly getting a little louder. It's only been running for 4 minutes, so we'll just let it keep running. Let me go back to the chat room here. Carrie, please explain that you could still use a Windows 7 key to activate Windows 10. I had a discussion with someone in the chat last week that told me I was wrong. Well, let them tell you you're wrong. What do you care? Yes, it's true If you have, let's say, Windows 7 Home 64-bit, and you want to upgrade to Windows 10 Home 64-bit, the way it works is you install, you can either do an upgrade, right? Or what I recommend is a clean install. So you do a clean install of Windows 10. You make the bootable media just like I've shown you how to do, or you can use, Microsoft's media creation tool. Make your bootable flash drive. When it asks for the product key, as you see me do every single time, I click the little fine print that says I don't have a product key. It completes the Windows 10 install. Then I type in the word activation in the search window there of Windows 10, and the option comes up to activate Windows, and it says, what do you want to do? And I click, I want to change my product key. Even though I never entered one, I still have to choose, I want to change it. It says, okay, enter your product key. That's where you put in your Windows 7 product key. And if that product key has never been used to activate Windows 10 before, then it will activate that Windows 10. And anytime you reinstall Windows 10 on that same hardware, Windows servers recognize it and you never have to use a product key again. It'll automatically go to activated status when it makes communication with the Windows servers, even on a clean install. And that's why that Windows 7 key can't be used again after that. I suppose you could still use it to activate Windows 7, but you won't. So if it tells you that your Windows 7 product key will not work, like if it's coming up and not activating Windows 10, then either you're putting the key in too early instead of waiting until the install is completed, or you're using a key that's already been used to activate Windows 10 prior, or you're activating a different copy of Windows 10 that's not the same as Windows 7. Like if you're trying to activate Windows 10 Professional with a Windows 7 Home key, I don't believe that'll work. If you're trying to activate a 64-bit edition of Windows 10 with a 32-bit Windows 7 product key, I don't think that'll work. It's got to be the same. Windows 7 Home 32 to Windows 10 Home 32, or Windows 7 Pro 64 to Windows 10 Pro 64. I do it constantly. Never had a problem. But if you choose to not believe me, I don't care. It's fine with me. I will continue to do what you say can't be done. And it makes no impact in my life, whether you choose to believe me or tell me I'm wrong. I will continue to do it, and I will continue to provide these services to my customers and save them money. And it's all legal, and it's all on the up and up. And unless you're a paying customer of mine, it doesn't really matter to me. You know what I mean? Like, you can believe whatever you want to believe. It doesn't have an impact in my life. So there you have it. And I would advise you, if you're arguing with somebody over something you know is a fact, you can provide them a link to prove it. And beyond that, don't waste your time with them. There's nothing in it for you. You're offering the information for free. If they choose not to accept it, just disengage in that conversation. And at least you can do is save yourself some time. Michael Shaw says, hey, Carrie, loving your videos as always. Well, thank you, Michael. Ooh, that fan's getting loud. See, for me to see what's going on, I have to keep making my screen bigger, which covers up chat. So what are we at now? 71 degrees Celsius. It's been running 9 minutes. 71 degrees is our maximum temp. Okay, good to know. Keep an eye on it. If you're running a pirated copy of Windows 7, like there's a lot of Windows 7, a lot of pirated copies of Windows 7 Enterprise, the Enterprise product key will not work on Windows 10. I mean, that's just never going to happen. Microsoft's not giving away operating systems to enterprises. They never will. It doesn't make sense to do that. So if you have a stolen product that you've used BitTorrent or something, and then you're going to come into the chat and tell me that your product key doesn't work in Windows 10, get lost. Still at 71, which is good. Alex's walkthrough says Scythe, like a Grim Reaper Scythe. I always thought it was called a Scythe. Is it a Scythe? I don't know how it's pronounced. And Mugen, like Mugen, which means unlimited, if you say so. Let's see. The NZXT motherboard has a 4-year warranty. Okay, that's from Alhaz thank you. Paul 1961 says, I save Windows 7 keys of PCs that have been junked. That's a very smart thing to do because you can use those Windows 7 keys to activate Windows 10 on other machines. But again, you can only use one Windows 7 product key to activate one Windows 10. And you'll never be able to use that Windows 7 key ever again on Windows 10. And Windows 10 will automatically activate itself if you're reinstalling on the same hardware. Windows servers are smart enough to know that. You just ignore the product key request, and then when you're done, it just automatically goes to activated. That's how Windows 10 works. It's how it's always worked since day one. It's pronounced Scythe. Scythe? Is that right? Scythe like wife. Huh. Might be more to it than that. You did not pay for those keys. That's irrelevant. If the Windows 7 keys are in your possession legally, so in other words, let's say you went past a dumpster and you saw a bunch of Windows 7 computers in the trash, and you simply took your camera and took pictures of those product keys, they're yours, man. They're yours. There's no law being violated there. If you bought a refurbished PC that had a Windows 7 key and you upgrade that to 10 using that 7 product key, nothing violating any Microsoft rules. It's all on the up and up. It may be considered a loophole by some people, but I think it's done intentionally. Microsoft knows what they're doing. They want you to have Windows 10. They just don't want you to steal it. Now, if you take somebody else's Windows 7 key, like let's say you work on a customer's computer and you write their Windows 7 product key down, and you come home and you upgrade a computer to Windows 10 and give it to another customer using the other customer's Windows 7 key, that's theft. But you don't need me to tell you that's theft, right? I mean, that's kind of obvious. It's wrong. But it'll be your problem when the customer calls, when they go to upgrade to Windows 10 and their key doesn't work. You'll probably be the one who gets the phone call. Where do you buy Windows from? I can get Windows from large sellers like Ingram Micro and places like that that sell to PC manufacturers. You can't buy from there. But when a customer orders a PC from me, I'm able to offer them Windows at a much cheaper price. But I can't just sell Windows to anybody. I have to build the PC, or I violate Microsoft's terms. And given that I want to stay in business, it's probably not a good business decision to violate Microsoft's terms to make one customer happy or to make a couple customers happy and end up folding your business because now Microsoft won't cooperate with you. They're going to make life difficult. And why wouldn't they? So I take care of them. Still locked in at 71 degrees centigrade. That's really, really good. I'm surprised the stock cooler's working that well. And what's surprising to me is it doesn't sound anywhere near as loud as it does in my office. This fan is actually, it's pretty quiet, but for some reason it seems to echo a lot in my office. So let's, it's been more than enough time. So 71, let's remember 71. That was our maximum temp. And then let's go ahead and shut this down and get the cooler replaced. So once again, when I stop the test, watch how fast the system cools down. Watch these temps here on the left. And generally this doesn't happen this quickly with a liquid cooler, but with an air cooler, those temps drop rapidly. So anyway, let's go ahead and shut her down. Shut her down. There we go. And then we'll switch back over to the main. And it's off. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get this stock cooler removed. And before I really do anything else, I want to go ahead and unplug it from power. I hit the power button just to make sure we drain everything. And then these little towers on the stock coolers have a little arrow on them, and you turn it in the direction of the arrow for removal only. When you're inserting or installing the cooler, you want the arrows to be facing away from where they're pointing. You only turn the arrow towards the direction of the arrow when you're removing the cooler. That allows you to then pull up on these individual little towers, and then the heatsink comes off just like that. And then these are the little arrows I'm talking about right there. You see how it's turned in the direction facing the arrow, in the direction of the arrow. Right? So if I go to install this, I need to turn it this way. See, now it's the arrow says, you know, turn it to, everything's backwards for me. It says to turn it that way. That's only for removal. So when you want to install your CPU, this is how it comes out of the box. I've had people take it out of the box and then they turn these in the direction of the arrow. So what are you doing? Well, the arrow shows it goes that direction. Yeah, to remove it, not to put it in. Now you can see the stock thermal compound that was on there spread really nice and even on the CPU. Look at what a nice little circle that formed right there of just perfect coverage. Intel does that so much better, I think, than AMD, at least from the Ryzen heatsink that I took off. I was very disappointed with the lack of thermal compound. And so what I do is I just grab a paper towel and I want to wipe this compound off of here. And if you do it right after turning the computer off, especially after a test like that where it got really hot, then the compound comes off a lot easier. If you do it when it's cold, and especially if the compound is a few months old or a few years old, it can be difficult to scrape off. So I just want to go ahead and grab, clean rather, the heatsink while I'm at it, and this will go back on a shelf with spare parts. But I'm not going to clean this surface with rubbing alcohol until I'm ready to use it again, because it's only going to get dirty as it sits on a shelf. So the least I can do is just take the thermal material off, and now I'm going to go grab a Q-tip and rubbing alcohol, and we're going to clean that CPU heat spreader off. Just decontaminate it, make sure we get all the detritus off of there, and make sure that when we apply our new thermal compound with our new heatsink, that we have the best contact possible for the best thermal transfer, right? We want to get that heat off of that spreader and into that heat sink as much as possible in order to have the best and most efficient cooling. So here I've got my Q-tips, and this is my denatured alcohol, although rubbing alcohol will work fine. The stronger the proof, the better, that's all. You know, if all you have available is a lower proof, it's better than nothing. It's not the best, but it's better than nothing. The reason I have denatured alcohols, we used to use this to clean the heads on tape decks in VHS machines, because they would have tape that ran, and the tape, as it ran across the surface of the head, it made contact with it and read the magnetic signal on the tape. And the tape had it's kind of like a lubricant and some other chemical on it. It wouldn't actually leave anything visible on your fingers if you handled it, but it was still a film. And after a while, you know, it could collect dust like anything else, and then that rubs off on the head, and then your audio starts sounding bad or your picture looks bad, and you would grab, guess what, a Q-tip and alcohol, and you would clean it. And so the more things change, the more things stay the same. We're doing it for a different reason, but it's the exact same tools. And it's a maintenance thing, you know. So it's related to performance. So same thing, it was related to performance. If your video didn't look good, if your audio didn't sound good, that's bad performance. All right, let's go back wide on this. There we go. Let's see what's in the box. Looks like our mounting hardware is in here. We've got a fan with a lot of blades on it, and rubber dampers on the sides. Very good. And there's a screw poking out of the styrofoam, which is weird. Wow, it's pretty big. Isn't that weird how that just sticks out? You'll see there's a piece of tape. Obviously, we have seen people put thermal compound on that and install it, not realizing or reading that that has to come off. It's there to just keep that clean of contaminants, from dust to oils from your skin. So when this tape is off, you don't want to rub this like I'm doing that now. This is already mounted and secured. Wow. So how are you supposed to get to this one with the heatsink in the way? Oh, there's a hole. I guess you go in through the hole, and then that gets you to that screw. Interesting, isn't it? And that hole right there will take you to that screw right in the center that's holding this cross piece on. And the fan can go on either side. I'm guessing that mounting hardware is in this box. So let's see what we've got in the box. I'll tell you what, this is bugging me. This is the secondary drive I'm going to install, 1 terabyte. There's no reason you can't buy a 1 terabyte SSD like this for around under $130 US from numerous manufacturers. AData, Team. The Samsung drives will always remain a bit more money, but if I was in the market for one of these, today, in my head, the price range I'm looking at is less than $130. Otherwise, wait, because at least once a week they're on sale. Sign up for Newegg's email list, or Rakuten will put them on sale, Amazon puts them on sale, and just wait. I've seen them on sale about once a week for under $130. And they're fast. The warranties are all pretty much the same. There's certain brands I sort of stay away from. I stay away from Kingston and Crucial. I haven't really used Mushkin much. But I've used a lot of stuff from Team and A-Data. SanDisk also, and I've never seen any of these fail. So when you hear about somebody saying their SSD failed, ask them who made it. So there's our drive. I'm just going to slap that in right over here, I guess. I don't want to put it below because it's going to generate heat, and if these get too hot, just like a CPU, they slow down. So I think we'll just keep it over here. I love that toolless installation. I'll wire it up later, but at least that gets it out of my way. Are you kidding me? Lo, this is first class. Look at this. Oh, that makes me smile. It's too bad the handle's so little, but that's going to go to that screw right there. Right? If you wanted to take that off. And then this end here will line up to that screw right there. Brilliant. Nice touch. Scythe, you've made me smile. This would be a good computer to build a good screwdriver to build a computer with too. If the handle was just normal, if the handles, you know, still. Seems like a quality screwdriver. It doesn't seem like a piece of junk. It actually seems like a really nice driver. Got our thermal compound. We've got 4 of these wire hangers. You know, I'm not a fan of these wire hangers securing the fan. The fan can be in a push or a pull configuration or both. That's why you've got 2 extra hangers in case you want to add an extra fan. And unlike Arctic Freezer, we have documentation. There's our instructions. And look, they have us putting standoffs in first and then putting thermal compound on. There's a lesson to be learned from Cooler Master and from Arctic Freezer and everybody else who makes this step 1, which is really stupid. This should be step 3. I'm liking this so far. Might be my new favorite cooler. So this is for LGA 2011. This is for AMD sockets AM2, AM2 Plus, AM3, AM3 Plus, AM4, FM1, FM2, and FM2 Plus. So that covers the gamut of AMD for the most part, except for Threadripper, TR4. And then here's what we need right here. So 1 page of instructions. So this is LGA 775, 115X. That means it could be 1150, 1151, 1155. And then 1366. That pretty much covers Intel. They've got these documents, and I love how clear these instructions are. They want you to tighten the screws about the same. You know, don't tighten one side down and not tighten the other side. That's what they're saying in this picture. They want you to tighten both sides down equally, so we have equal pressure. So somewhere in here there's a back plate. Let's take a look at what's in here. We've got some standoffs, the screws, and then we've got a couple brackets here, which I'm not sure if we use any of these brackets or not. I think I need glasses. Yes, I do. I am just loving this so far. Okay, so it's telling us which holes to use on the bracket. It says if it's socket 775, use the hole to the left. Socket 115X, which is what we're using, use the middle hole. And socket 1366, use the topmost hole. that's what that's saying right there. Good to know. It wants us to put the back plate on first and then to put these standoffs in using the included screwdriver. It even shows righties tighties. Okay, so let's do that first. I think I can handle this. So in this box, we've got our standoffs, and obviously I have to take off this other panel. Set that over there. You'll see my beautiful cable management on my case. What am I hitting? Oh, it's this power cord that's got me trapped. There it is. Let me just set this over here. Okay. So this is really nice. This has got little rubber pads, so there's no mystery as to which side is supposed to go against the board. On the Corsair, on the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo, there's like a green tape, and it looks like you're supposed to take the tape off, but you're not supposed to do. Don't take the tape off. That keeps the metal from touching metal on the back of the board. So obviously you want the foam part touching the board. This also helps prevent any crushing of the motherboard from over tightening the screws, because you get a little absorption there. It also helps reduce any vibration. So on this 11.5X, what did I say? It was just in the middle. Was it the middle one? No, yes, it's, if we look at the diagram, 11.5X would be that middle one right there. Okay. These are the, well, let's see, we've got two different kinds of standoffs here. We got fat ones, short fat ones, and long skinny ones. I think these short fat ones go to socket 2011, I think. Let's see, does it fit in here? Yeah, that's exactly. All right. You'll see there's two holes right up here. That should line up with these two screws on the back of the CPU. And they do. And I'm going to hold that with one hand. And I'm just going to get one of these started if I could stop these things from rolling around on my counter. And I'm just going to turn them by hand and get them started. And ideally, I will do opposite corners so it will stay in place. Okay. So as you can see right there, I've got a screw here and a screw in the opposite corner. I've got two left, and it doesn't matter. At this point, they're just going to go in. They're already lined up, and I don't have to have a third hand, which is pretty useful. And you're supposed to turn these by hand, but I'm going to try and save a little time. Very good. Okay, now I will use their included screwdriver, and I'm just going to give them a little bit more of a tight down here. Make sure it's nice and tight. Remember, I've got that screwdriver set to a really low torque setting because I don't want to bust any heads off of screws, because that's not good. There we go. Now it says the next thing is to put these brackets. Which brackets is it? Let's take a look at the documentation. You can follow right along with me here. It shows, so we're back again on LGA, that's what we're doing, land grid array 1151. And it shows these brackets right here going on over the top of the standoffs. Now, does it appear to be this bracket, or does it appear to be this bracket? Two different brackets. It looks like they're both bent up in the center. Yeah, it's this one. So these must be for AMD, so we'll get those out of sight, out of mind. We're done. And we're not using two of these hangers. Get two of those out of the way. We're not using these unless we're going to add another fan. And then it wants these to go on, let's see. Looks like it just goes right here. I'm not sure where the screw aligns. I guess it just goes where it goes. So that's these other 4 screws that were in this bag. They're a small flathead coarse threaded screw. We got 4 of those. And just to speed this process up, I'm going to use the driver here, but you should turn these by hand. Ah, the lazy Susan. There's times when this table is very useful, and then there's times where it's frustrating. Guess which time this is? Okay, let me try this again. There we go. There's one. Seem to be lining up correctly. All right, so the reason I had to take that screw out is because if you look at the bracket itself, there's a place for the screw to go up here at the top like that, and it doesn't want to move. And it appears it wants to go in the bottom part of this, so it's down like that instead, and then it lines up correctly that way. So that was my delay. We want to use the bottom part. Not lining up again. Nope. It's almost like it kind of sits in the middle. It's kind of hard to explain. So I think what I'll do is try the top one first. And now we'll do that bottom one. Yeah, that lines up good now. Famous last words. I see it lining up. I don't know why it's... There it goes. Okay. Now this doesn't have to be really super tight at all, but we can just double check. Yeah, that's plenty. Now we can apply our thermal compound, and to do that, I like to use a technique where I spread the thermal compound around. A lot of people are very passionate about how their thermal compound is applied. Don't be one of those people. If you test, I mean, if you're really that passionate about it, then I recommend that you take different thermal compounds and apply them in different ways and run your own tests so that you can join the rest of us who've done the test. And if you can't be bothered to do that test, then don't tell people that one way of applying is better than another one way of applying the thermal compound is not better than any other way. And you would know that if you actually did the test. So that's my advice. So I got a clean glove. It's a waste of a glove, but why not? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put enough thermal compound on here to paint the top of the CPU. And there's enough in here for about 2 applications. And I've actually put way too much on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread that around, just like a nice thick coat of paint. And you'll see there's a lot left over, so I'm going to fold that finger under, and I'm going to use this finger to help take some of that off. That's much better, and you'll see I have a lot left over, and to keep it from getting on me, I'm just going to fold the glove in on itself and then throw that away, and there's no mess. And I don't have to worry, did I put too much on? If you put too much on, like in the P method, and it oozes out the sides, I guess you put too much on. If you put too little on, I guess you'll never know until you take it back off and look. This way you know exactly how much you've got on there and that you've applied it evenly across the entire heat shield. Now to install the cooler, this will be a lot easier if I set the system down, and I'm going to have to do that, and I apologize because you're just not going to get a good view. But I want to make sure I do this right, and I don't want to take any shortcuts here. I've never worked with this cooler before, and I want to make sure that I give it every opportunity to install easily and perform to its best ability, and that comes at a cost that you won't be able to see. But basically I'm just going to set this down. It doesn't matter. It can go on this way or this way. It really doesn't matter. If you want to look and see if one side overhangs the RAM, it doesn't appear to offer me. Actually, this side where the screw sticks out seems to offer me a little more room for the fan to go here without hitting my RAM. Oh, a lot more room. So that's the reason why I'm putting it on in that direction. And we're just going to get this one screw started. And then we're going to come down this hole right through the center, find that other screw. This may be, so I read reviews that this was a very easy install. I think those reviews are right. This may be one of the easiest third-party air tower coolers I've ever installed. What a great design. Okay, that side is tight. And that's it. I mean, the screw just stops. You can't take it any further than that. And that's what it looks like. Now we just have to add the fan. So the great thing about a cooler like this is not only is it quiet, but unlike an all-in-one cooler where you got liquid, this will never have a broken pump. And the worst thing that'll happen is your fan will die and you'll have to replace the fan. Now remember what I told you about fans. The side that has the support brackets is the side the air comes out of. And the side that doesn't have any support brackets, that's the side the air goes in. So the air is going to move. If we look at it like this, the air is going to come in from me and blow out away from me. And if I turn it this way, then the air is coming in this way and it's going to bring air in towards me, right? Away from me, towards me. It's all based on these support brackets on every computer fan I've ever seen. In fact, on every fan, period. Did I remove the sticker? I didn't remove the sticker. I just criticized people for doing that, and I did it myself. I was so anxious. Oh no, I can't believe that. Oh, golly gee, I was so excited. All right. Gosh darn it. I did the same thing customers do. I'm telling you, sometimes customers, they're infectious. Oh well, that's crazy. Thank you guys. I would have tested this and been disappointed with its performance. I'd have been like, wow, everything was so great right up until the point of actually using it. Well, what are you gonna do? We can fix that in editing, right? Sure. Sure we will. Well, first of all, let's make sure we get a nice view of the hazard sign through the thermal compound. Yeah, let's just say I did that on purpose. Let's peel that off. How about that? Dummy. You dummy. I'm talking about me. Yeah, now I need more thermal compound. I've used it. It was so nice, too. All right, let's just use what's left. That's perfect. There's just the right amount left, and then that can go into the trash bin. Except I got it all over my hands now. Let's see if I can get that off of there. Ugh. It's so hard to get cleaned up. That's why I like to wear the... Sometimes I put a piece of Scotch tape on my finger. The rubber glove is cleaner because even with the Scotch tape, I end up leaving some on. And honestly, I mean, these rubber gloves are sold by, how many are in here? 100 of them? And I'm using one. That means one box of rubber gloves that cost me about $5. I can use on 100 computers, 100 CPU installs. So that's definitely a few years worth. And I get the thinnest gloves possible so I can feel. You know, the thicker the glove, the more you can't feel through it. So there's more dexterity in a thinner glove. But the thinner gloves also tear easier. Okay, so that's better. You're fine. Everything's fine. Your coolant level's good. I've just checked you out. You have a good coolant level. You just might need to wipe better. What? Okay, that looks good. That looks good. I can't believe I did that. Live on camera. Live. You did that, Carrie. Yes, I did. And I don't want it that way. I want it this way. Sticker shock. That poor computer got the rubber glove treatment twice. Yes, it did. And it better work well or it's going to get it a third time. Yeah, I love when you tighten these down, sometimes like, when do I stop? These screws just come to a dead stop. Yeah, I mean, you can feel it. As soon as it locks down, that's it. So that's wonderful. That's a great design. Let's try this again. So here's what it looks like. And you can see that's a very easy mistake to make, even for somebody who's supposed to know better. I'm just too anxious. I guess I'm not using these standoffs on here. This must be for another socket type. Looks like these might be used on 2011s. So when it comes to the fan, remember we want the fan, if we put the fan here, we want the air blowing in the same direction out towards the back. I want the power cable coming out towards the CPU fan header. That means it's going to go on just like this, and then these hangers then go, It shows the hanger going on here, I guess like this. That's kind of weak. I guess that's it. And then we put the other one on the same way. So if that one's going to go on there, then this one has to go on. Right here. Man, it's easy. It's almost too easy. Doesn't really feel very secure to me. Looks like I missed a contribution. Magni Johansson's contributed 55 Norwegian kroner. This is for making me laugh and keep reminding me that this is real. Yes, it is. B.H. Ringer says you can cut the fingers off the glove and use them individually. You absolutely can. I'm not that poor. And I like the idea of being able to fold the glove over itself to keep the thermal compound in the glove instead of getting it all over. But yeah, you can certainly do that, no problem. I'm so broke, I gotta cut the fingers off my rubber gloves. Hey man, not making fun of you, you gotta do what you gotta do. All right. Yeah, plenty of RAM clearance, which is good. That looks like a pretty good place. I think I might have this backwards. Let me see. Looks like the way I've got it. I guess you really have to pull down on it with some force. Use the force, carry. Let's see. Gosh, that's difficult. Well, every part of this was easy until I got to this part. There it goes. You really got to pull down on that pretty hard. Okay. Oh, I see the fan's got a little recess it sits in. And we pull that. There we go. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Okay, now one of these is the CPU fan header. Which one is it? It's this one right up here. Okay, so I will get a nylon zip tie and tie that up if this is going to be a keeper. But there's a little groove, you can barely see it. But there's a tiny little groove in this heatsink where that fan goes right in there. And that's how you know you've centered it correctly. See how there's a little lip right there? And then the fan sits right in there. And then of course you could adjust the height of the fan if you have to give it more clearance for your RAM. But you see how that one screw that stuck out at the bottom when I pointed it out when I took this out of the box, there's that one screw. That's what gave us that amount of room for the RAM and the fan. If I would have flipped this 180 degrees, then I'd have a lot of extra room in between here, but then it would be closer and actually interfere with the RAM the other way around. So dry fit that on your case with your RAM end to make sure that you've got it correct. But yeah, super easy install. I'm wonder if Scythe is looking for a sponsorship opportunity, because I'm digging this so far. If it performs as easily as it installs and as heavy as it is and it looks, we should have a winner on our hands here, folks. Okay, let's fire it up. See what she's gonna do. Video, check. Power, check. I mean, think about it. Think about this. If you're building a computer for the very first time and you don't have a screwdriver, when you order this cooler, they're going to give you the screwdriver you need to build the whole computer. This is the right screwdriver to use. That's pretty cool. Did I take the plastic cover off the fan logo? There's usually not plastic on the fans. They're on the bottom of power supplies, not on the fan itself. So on the bottom of the power supply, you'll see a little plastic cover over the logo, but it's not on a fan. I've never seen them on a fan before. Okay, let's try it out and see what she does. Let's go to the other video feed. There we go. Power. Oh, spinning. Is it quieter? I don't know. Is it magnetized? This screwdriver is magnetized, yes. Yes, it is. I mean, that's worth $8 of the cost of the cooler right there. As far as I'm concerned, that's not a cheap screwdriver. That's a nice quality screwdriver. Even Noctua doesn't give you a driver like this. Noctua gives you crappy throwaway junk tools for their coolers. This is a real tool. This is a real tool. Unbelievable. Okay, these are the extra screws. Let me put those away. Yes, the computer doesn't have internet access. We get it. Flash drive is still installed, so let's go to the flash drive. And we'll bring up, it would be helpful if I could see. Hardware monitor. 95. Okay, just take a quick look here. Okay, there's our temps now. Let it run. So the time is 4:42. We'll let this run until 5. Well, we'll give it 15 minutes. It'll be 5:57. And it'll be time to wrap the feed up based on the outcome of this. Christoph Esch has contributed €2. He says, have a Coke on me. Well, thank you, Christoph. I will. I'll put a link in the video description for this cooler, but it's, once again, I'm going to show you the box up there in the top right corner. This is the Mugen 5. And I will include a link to that here in a moment. In fact, I can work on that right now while this is running. So Amazon shows it for $56.25. I also see one for $96.85. I wonder what the difference is. Oh, this one has 2 fans. It's the PCGH edition. Sealed Precision FDB Case Flex 120mm fan SCMG-5100 for $45.95. Wonder what the difference is between that. Oh, this is revision B, I guess. And that's definitely the one I've got, is revision B. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to put this in the chat room. So this is, if you look in the chat right now, this is the description, and this is my Amazon link. If you use that Amazon link to buy anything, I will get a commission, and that helps support the channel. Just so you know. Hint, hint. Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge. And I'm just going to copy that right into the video description, so it'll be there after this video is done. There we go. Very nice. How do our temps look? Are we still okay? I haven't been paying attention. Oh, look at that. 49 degrees Celsius maximum so far. That's awesome. All right, let's just see how it fares out, though. Let's keep letting it run. It's only been running about 3 minutes, so give it time. Catherine says she installed a car-ey-lyst H5 and it was as easy to install as the Mugen, but is it as cheap? I think the car-ey-lyst is a good price. Somebody else said they prefer the Be Quiet cooler, but the Be Quiet cooler is expensive, and I've heard the installation's kind of a pain. Did you install the Samsung NVMe driver on my PC? Yeah, Andrew, the reason why the driver wasn't installing is the BIOS SATA mode was set to Intel RST, the rapid storage technology, instead of being an AHCI. And when I switched it to AHCI, then it blue screened on boot up. So the fix for that is to just simply boot in safe mode. and you don't do anything. Just let it get to the desktop and then restart normally, and it fixes the driver issue with AHCI. And then, like when you brought up the Samsung Magician software, it didn't find any drives. It's not compatible with the Intel RST. And I remember reading that about the Samsung driver and software 2 years ago. And I'm like, what are they talking about? You know, I have Intel RST drivers and it's not a problem. I've never seen a computer with a BIOS option of Intel RST, but that's what this BIOS had. And so I switched it to HCI. Then it says, okay, I see the drive. There was a firmware update and I applied that. And then I installed the Samsung NVMe driver. So that's why you would have never been able to do that remotely because you don't have access to the BIOS. And I haven't seen a BIOS where Intel RST was an option for the drives, which was weird. But there it is. Troll McTrollington says the Be Quiet cooler would need that screwdriver that you got with the Mugen. There's some discussion of the Winamp program coming back. Winamp is done. I mean, just get VLC and be done with it. You don't need Winamp anymore. VLC kills Winamp. They're $1 late and a day short. A day late and $1 short. I guess that's how it works. Car-ey, this company has been out since Noctua. I've never heard of them. I don't think they've been in the US. I think they're new to the US. Did I hook up the extra SSD? No, I'm going to do that a little later. I'm just trying to run temperature testing on this right now to make sure it's going to be acceptable, and I'm not going to be putting the stock cooler back on or a Hyper 212. I've got a few Hyper 212s. I've got the Liquid Maker 92. If for any reason this is not meeting my expectations, I want to go ahead and swap it out before I start anything else, right? So if this works as I think it's going to, then I'll hook up the SSD next, and then it gets partitioned and formatted, and covers go back on the case, and goes back in my office and back to work. Excuse me. The Coke is talking back. Newegg sells all of their products. I don't have an affiliate link for Newegg, so I only point to Newegg when there's no other way for me to, you know, I much prefer to point at Amazon because it supports the channel. If you shop at Harbor Freight Tools, you can get a free screwdriver at least once every 3 months or so with a coupon. Yeah, and they're cheap screwdrivers. I'm telling you, this is a better screwdriver than what you get for free at Harbor Freight. Remember, the driver, you can't just use any driver. You've got to make sure you've got the right size Phillips tip. It's got to have the length that you need, and it can't be too wide or it won't go through the hole. So this is everything that you need. It's magnetized, it's the right length. If anything, I wish the handle was full. If this was a full-size handle, my God. I mean, look at what I do. I want you to think about this for a minute. When you see me use my electric screwdriver, look at the bit I use. And I had to buy this bit specially. Look at. This wasn't free. This bit right here, I think I had to buy them in a package of 6. It's a magnetized 6-inch, I think it's a 6-inch, maybe it's bigger than that. Phillips number 2 bit. And it almost matches identically with what's with this screwdriver. I mean, first of all, look at the tips there and look at the base. Can you see? The bottom of this right here, it's perfect. It's as if I designed it myself. That's how good it is. Except for the handle. Handle needs to be bigger. It's a minor complaint for a free screwdriver, though, I'll tell you that. There's no reason you couldn't build your whole system with this screwdriver. This is the one screwdriver you'll need. That's it. This will get the job done. If you're only building one computer and you're not going to build another one, this is all you need. If you're going to build a bunch of them, This will help save you of carpal tunnel syndrome and repetitive stress disorders. Very, very impressed. Very impressed. You know, it's funny because I get emails all the time from sellers, like Amazon sellers from China that barely speak English, and they have some knockoff product probably painted with lead paint, and they want to know if I'll showcase it on my channel. And so when I saw this email come in, I'm like, what is it? You know, I couldn't quite understand what he was telling me, and I clicked on the link and I see all these coolers, and I'm like, well, if you're selling a cooler, I'll test a cooler. Little did I know it was this good. So this is what you get when you get live. You get real reactions. This is all honest reactions to the product. Bedora says it's a short handle because they have a small box. Yeah, I was surprised that that screwdriver fit in that box. I mean, look at the size of the box. And look at the driver. It just fits in there diagonally. Just. If the handle was any bigger, I mean, because the driver's too tall to fit in vertically, it'll stick out. So I'm sure that's why it's got a shorter handle. But they can make a bigger box. Or I suppose the screwdriver, if it had a bigger handle, it could be put sort of on an angle floating in the center. But again, I didn't buy a screwdriver, I bought a cooler. Come for the cooler, stay for the screwdriver. All right, we are almost running about 10 minutes on this test. Let's see how we're performing now and what's our temps. 54. So far we're looking at about a 20°C difference from the stock cooler, and that is significant. I want to give it 7 more minutes, and we're going to wrap the video up. So this is your opportunity now to talk to me. If you have anything to say, let's go full screen on here. And I'll show you this. I'm going to show you this one more time full screen. I want you to see when I pick my tools, right? I have a choice of thousands upon thousands of tools. And this is what I picked based on my experience and my needs. I picked this. This is what they sent me, and I want to show you. When I set that down on top of the handle, they're virtually identical to what I would pick of my own free will. That's saying something. And yes, this is magnetized. If I reach over here and I can pick things up, you can see that's magnetized. And that's free with the cooler. I can't get over that. They always, whenever manufacturers include free tools, they're always crappy junk tools. Never seen a manufacturer give a real tool before. That's a real honest to God tool. That's something you can use for years and years and years. It's not a use once and throw away kind of design, or you know, you twist it too hard and it bends, or the plastic cracks. It's solid. It's brilliant. I'm supposed to be reviewing the cooler though, right? These are all the spare parts for, like I say, the additional fan or a different type of socketed CPU from AMD or Intel. So you'd always put those away, keep that together with these instructions. And what I recommend you do is get like a Ziploc bag or something. Trying to see how this goes back together. It's like folding a map. Yeah, that's our instructions right there. It wasn't free, it was included in the price. Well, the reason I say, you're right, it was at no additional charge. But when you look at other coolers that are equivalent to this, like from Be Quiet, it's almost twice the price and it doesn't come with a tool, from that example. The Hyper 212 Evo is about $30. It doesn't have as much surface area, so you're not getting as much radiator or heat sink, and you're not getting a tool. So it feels like you're paying a little more, you're getting a little more, but you're not paying too much, you know, to get a little more. So I'm okay with that. I think the price they're asking is fair. I mean, if this had the same width, remember, so the Hyper 212 Evo stops right about there. That would be a $30 cooler. Now we've added another inch to that and included the driver and a much more simple installation process for an extra $25. Sign me up all day. The fact you get the screwdriver, icing on the cake. Icing on the cake. Never seen a manufacturer ever do that before with any hardware ever in my life. Never, ever, ever. First time, ever. Ever. That's why I'm making a big deal out of it. I've never seen that before. That's huge. And it's a trend that continues. I very much would like to see other manufacturers offer the same quality tools instead of just crappy junk. It's a shame because, you know, they'll have a nice cooler like Be Quiet and then or Noctua, and then they give you a crappy little Allen wrench that bends when you turn it too tight. Like, really? You want me to use a crappy tool to install this really nice cooler? Doesn't make sense to me. But that's just my perspective. Okay, let's take a look at how we're performing. Let's see, how are we doing here? Temps went down, didn't they? Look at that. 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. There's some question as to the specs of this particular computer. I can pull that up right now if you like. Whoops. Sorry about that. I gotta use the right keyboard, that's my problem. Go to Control Panel. And then we'll go to... I always want to grab the wrong mouse. There's the specs of the system right there for you guys. This is an Intel Core i5-8400, which is really the sweet spot for a gaming CPU. On the Intel side of things, that's the best bang for the buck right now. (16 gigs of RAM, and we're using the onboard video built into the CPU. It's 20 degrees cooler, and it's now been running 17 minutes. I think that's adequate. I think that has established this as a very good cooler. It's not all looks, it actually works well. It installs easy, and it's very, very quiet. Although once I get the covers put back on and I actually put it in my office and hear how it echoes, I imagine it's got to be quieter than the stock cooler. Look at how fast those temps go down. Very nice. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all very, very soon. Until then, bye for now.